So when we got to the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation, it's not like today where people are just put on air just so. I had to have 3 months of training that we had been put through. There was John Jones, the late John Jones, Milton Blake, Gene Rattigan. Then they took us through all the various departments. Yeah, although we're going to be announcers, we had to see how the entire thing works. And so after 3 months of being on air, this was what I got to do first, and we all did it similarly. This is the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. It's now 6 o'clock. That, so that. I did that for about 2 weeks. And then after that, they made you say, well, I did. This is the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. It's now 6 o'clock and time for music from the Green Antilles. See ya? Me think me reached now, Get Featured News program. But sitting to my right was a senior announcer, Al Scott. So we had a proper, they had a proper way of training you, having somebody senior being with you, and assisting you. And of course, if you made an error after you were put on air on your own, then you'd have been asked to visit the Director of Programs office when you got off air. Depending on who the Director of Programs would be, sometimes it's just a phone call that the technical operator would give you at the end of your shift, or you'd see a head in the control room going, now there But although that happened, it sounds draconian, but it made us understand that we had to lay a proper foundation, and that to be substandard just wasn't on. So I got that from, 1, my personality, 2, my training in theatre, and 3, the training I had in broadcasting. I don't know what you mean when you say traditional media is going down, and it's not a critique of you, just that so many people say it. I think it's just a new dispensation. And what we need to do is converge. It's all about convergence. Let us say the Gleaner Company. The Gleaner Company is clearly very wise. You couldn't operate with just the hard copy in today's world anymore. So you've made it available online, so whether you're on your phone or your iPad or whatever, then you have done the e-paper, the entire thing you can get. But then you're doing this now, television, because you have the online facilities and you can use it. And the Gleaner Company is the parent company of Power 106 and Music 99. So it is a convergence. The technology has allowed this to happen. And for example, somebody could stay at home and write their story, voice their story, edit their story. The technology is all there. You don't have to have a big editing suite anymore. It's on a laptop, for crying out loud, right? Or possibly on your phone. And you can send that in. So I don't know if I'd say that traditional media is dying just so. I think traditional media is going through a change and being supported by social media. You cannot, so I mentioned about e-paper and online and Tarna, but Twitter, WhatsApp. I mean, Damian Mitchell, every time something broke down here, drop it on my WhatsApp. Boom, boom, right? Right? So WhatsApp, Facebook, you just have to use all of them, blend all of them. It's a convergence because all of them can work together. And so if something is happening in Tunisia or Syria, when that thing happened in Tunisia with that young man with his master's degree in computer science or whatever it was, which is what really started the spring, something down there, right? It was social media that got it out, and then traditional media used the information and the footage and the pictures and then made their alliances. That is what it's about. And as an older person, notice I didn't say old, as an older person in the business, I have to stay on top of it. So I'm WhatsApping, and I have nearly 6,000 followers on Twitter. For the first year I had Twitter, I kind of locked it though, I didn't open it up. I would have had much more. But the point is, and I follow a lot of news organizations, the BBC, CNN, CBS, whatever. I just follow news, Huffington, whatever it is, Gleaner, I just follow news. But the point is that those of us who teach it have to stay on top of it. We won't know everything, but you have to at least know that it exists. And you have to understand that it comes together. And then you have to trust some of the younger people to show you how it comes together, because you may not know, but you have to trust them. Because you people have you perhaps are more into the technology than some of us, but then you have to understand that there are the standards that come with that you can't allow to slip. And you have to get that from the older people and get that from your training and put them together. So traditional media, yes, in some ways people might see it as slipping, but I see it as morphing into something else. To stay alive, you have to morph. You cannot just be one thing. You can't be just a radio station or a print entity, right? You have to do other things or you're going to be in trouble. And then you have to also have alliances. You have to, and not just in your own country, but outside as well. So it's an exciting time. And I often wonder what it'll be like if I'm alive at 70 and 80, what will media be like? What will happen, you know? I often wonder about that. The current relationship between political leaders and the media, you know something? It really hasn't changed, you know. There's always a suspicion by either party. It's like police and media. We need each other, but we hate each other. But we need each other. And so politicians, let me explain though, in a sense. When I joined media in 1974, there were 2 radio stations. There was RJR and there was JBC and 1 television station. And JBC was government owned. Now, if we're going to talk about the relationship, that's another matter. Because some of them would try to dictate to whomever was in, whichever party was the party in political administration at the time. They would choose very carefully who the general manager would be and place them. And sometimes the general manager would be a little too intrusive and interfering in the data sometimes. But most times I believe the people in the JBC newsroom were strong and, you know, would say, hey, this can't happen, or no, we're not going to accommodate that. So where that is concerned, you don't have that kind of political interference anymore. You don't have it, I don't think, because we don't have that kind of arrangement anymore. And this is not Jamaica alone, it happens throughout the Caribbean. And where government still dabbles in ownership of media in the Caribbean, that still happens. For example, you'd have an interview, right, with a permanent secretary or a minister, and them send you the list of questions prior to. Send you the list of questions. That's just unheard of, you know. So what you do, rather than do battle with them, you take a list of questions and then you formulate your own, you know, kind of a thing. But part of why they did that is because they were so unsure of how they would manage media as well. And so they didn't want to make an ass of themselves and so on. But generally speaking, it's usually this kind of discomfort between, you know, how politicians view media. Let me share it. Totally what happened. Whomever is the governing party, you see? The opposition believes that the governing party is getting the support of the media and nobody is supporting them or listening to them. Isn't that what is happening now? Hello? It's still happening. So they believe that the governing party gets the support and nobody now listen to them. And it's not so really. It really is not so. But that's how they see it.